How many of you have ever loved a man so deeply, so completely, that you rearranged your entire life just to fit into his? You adjusted your expectations, silenced your concerns, and convinced yourself that if you just stayed a little longer, prayed a little harder, or loved a little louder, he would finally see you. He would finally choose you. But instead, you found yourself standing in the same place year after year, waiting for a decision that never came. I see you. I know the weight of that question mark hanging over your heart. Does he really love me? Am I the one? And the hardest truth of all, if I walk away, will he even notice? Let me speak this plainly, because your heart deserves clarity. A man who doesn't know you're the one isn't confused. He's unconvinced. And the only thing more painful than walking away is staying and realizing too late that he never intended to meet you halfway. This isn't about playing games. This isn't about manipulation. This isn't about the unshakable law of spiritual physics. So you cannot make someone value by diminishing yourself. Imagine standing in front of a man holding a priceless diamond in his hands. If he gets to keep that diamond without ever fearing its loss, he'll admire it, yes, but he'll never truly understand its worth. But the moment that diamond is taken away, something shifts in him. Suddenly, he's forced to confront what life would be like without its brilliance. He starts to notice the way it caught the light, the way it made everything around it seem ordinary in comparison. You, my sister, are that diamond. But if you never allow space for a man to miss you, if you never give him the gift of your absence, he will never experience the revelation of what life is like without you. Proverbs 25 verse 2 says, "It is the glory of God to conceal a matter, but the glory of kings to search it out." Do you see the divine strategy here? God, in his wisdom, often hides the answer not to keep it from us, but to reveal who is truly willing to seek it. When a man is uncertain about you, it's not your job to convince him. It's not your job to plead your case or audition for a role that was always meant to be yours by divine assignment. Your absence is the holy pause that forces him to confront what he's risking. Start today by creating intentional space. If he's not stepping forward, you'll step back, not in anger, not in bitterness, but in wisdom. Silence the noise of constant availability. Stop filling the gaps of his indecision with your reassurance. Let there be room for him to wonder, to reflect, to feel the weight of your absence. This isn't about punishment. It's about revelation. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about being impossible to forget. It's a test, not a punishment. It's a revelation, not a game. It's not about making him chase you. It's about allowing him to discover what he's truly willing to fight for. Today, choose silence over begging. Choose stillness over striving. Let the space between you reveal what your presence never could. And if he doesn't come running, then you, my sister, have just been saved from a man who was never yours to begin with. Have you ever watched a man transform before your eyes the moment he sensed you slipping away? One day you're invisible, your text left on read, your heart treated like an afterthought. Then suddenly, when you start pulling back, when your voice grows quieter and your smile less available, that's when he remembers. That's when the calls start coming. That's when he looks at you like he's seeing you for the first time. Why does it take the threat of loss for some men to recognize what was always there? And more importantly, how do you tell the difference between a man who's genuinely had a revelation and one who's just afraid of being alone? Let me speak this plainly, because your peace depends on it. A man who only wants you when you're walking away doesn't want you. He wants the security of having you. There's a canyon-sized difference between pursuit born of love and pursuit born of panic. One builds altars, the other just builds anxiety. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff with a man who spent months ignoring the view. He's been scrolling through his phone, complaining about the wind, acting like the majesty around him is ordinary. But the second you turn to leave, suddenly he's marveling at the sunset. Suddenly he's present. Suddenly he's begging you to stay. Ask yourself, is it the view he's fallen in love with, or just the fear of being left alone on the cliff? Remember the parable of the prodigal son. There's an often overlooked character in that story. the older brother who stayed, while the father celebrated the son who returned. Nobody questioned why it took losing everything for that son to appreciate home. Some men are prodigal with hearts. They only value what they risk losing. But you're not a feast prepared for reckless sons. You're a promised land meant for men who recognize treasure without having to lose it first. Research shows that men's process potential loss differently than women's. The same dopamine surge that drives them to win can blind them to what they already have. But listen closely, a man who needs to lose you to love, you will always need to lose you to keep loving you. This isn't a pattern, it's a prison. Think of Jessica, who spent 3 years waiting for Mark to propose. He always had an excuse: career, timing, finances, not feeling ready. The day she moved her things out, suddenly he was ring shopping 6 months into their marriage, back to taking her for granted. Why? Because men like Mark don't chase the woman, they chase the chase. The moment the thread disappears, so does their motivation. This is what you are going to do. Take these actionable steps. And 1, the 30-day clarity test. When a man comes back after absence, don't immediately restore the old rhythm. Give it 30 days of him initiating, planning, probing, without the threat of loss hanging over him. 2, what changed? Question, look him in the eye and ask, what exactly is different now? Be specific. If he can't articulate real growth, it's just fear talking. 3, availability auditing. Map out your last 5 interactions. Are 80% of them on his terms, his schedule, his convenience? Love that depends on your absence isn't love. It's just separation anxiety. Hosea 6 verse 4, your love is like the morning mist, like the early dew that disappears. Some affections only exist in the threat of losing you. 1 Corinthians 13 verse 5, a love is not self-seeking. A man chasing to avoid loss is still being selfish, just in a more subtle way. Today, I need to do the bravest thing. Walk away from men who only love you in retrospect, not with drama, not with ultimatums, but with the quiet confidence of a woman who knows she's not an option to be weighed, but a destiny to be claimed. Let your absence be the revelation, the answer. Let their response be the answer. And if that answer is anything less than, I choose you, without threats or games, then baby, you haven't lost a thing. You've been handed back your freedom. How long have you been standing at a door that God has already closed? How many times have you knocked, hoping this time it will open, only to bruise your hands on wood that was never meant to move? You pray for change. You fast for breakthrough, but deep down, you know the true thing, some doors aren't stuck, they're shut. And the real miracle isn't getting them to open, but finding the courage to walk away. Let me say this with love, but with fire, you cannot receive what you refuse to release. Every moment you spend clutching a love that wasn't yours to keep is a moment you delayed the love that was always meant to find you. Imagine holding a broken vase, its shattered pieces cutting into your palms. You keep trying to glue it back together, blood staining the porcelain, insisting, if I just hold on long enough, it'll be whole again. But God is standing in front of you with a brand new vase, one that won't cut you, one made just for your hands, waiting for you to let go of the broken pieces so he can give you something better. Consider Ruth. She could have clung to the familiar, the land of Moab, the memories of her late husband, the safety of what she knew. But she chose to release it all, are saying, where you go, I will go. And Ruth 1 verse 16. And because she let go, God led her to Boaz, a man who didn't just want her, but honored her. Some of you are still holding on to Moab when your Bethlehem is waiting. Studies show that the brain processes emotional pain like physical pain, which is why letting go hurts. But here's what they also found: the moment you release what's hurting you, your brain begins healing. Every day you stay attached to a dead-end relationship, you're not being loyal. You're delaying your healing. Meet Tasha. For 5 years, she waited for Kevin to commit. He just needs time. She told her friends, he'll change. Then one day she deleted his number, blocked him, let go. It felt like death. But 6 months later, she met David, a man who pursued her with intention, who didn't need ultimatums to choose her. At their wedding, she whispered, thank God I let go of the wrong man to make room for the right one. Your obedience in release will determine your abundance in receipt. Today, I need you to do the bravest thing, walk away from what God has already said is over. Not with resentment, not with regret, but with the quiet confidence of a woman who trusts her father. That door is closed because what's coming is better. That man is gone because your eyes is still ahead. Your future is not behind you, it's before you. But first, you must let go. What if I told you that somewhere in this world walks a man who won't need to lose you to love you? A man whose eyes will light up when he speaks of forever. Not because you gave him an ultimatum, but because God placed that certainty in his spirit. While you've been bending backwards trying to prove your worth to the wrong man, your boss has been on his knees asking God to reveal the woman who would help fulfill his divine assignment. Let this truth sink deep into your spirit. A man who is truly yours will recognize you without the theatrics of separation. He won't require the threat of loss to awaken his pursuit, because when God orchestrates a divine connection, there is no room for hesitation. The right man won't need space to decide. His spirit will have already settled the matter long before he meets you. Imagine two farmers. One constantly digs up his seeds, poking at them, demanding immediate proof of growth. The other plants with confidence, waters with patience, and trusts the process. Too many women are stuck with men who treat relationships like that first farmer, always doubting, always questioning, never fully committing. But the man God has for you, he's the second farmer, the one who recognizes potential and nurtures without needing to see the harvest before he believes in it. The story of Isaac and Rebekah paints the perfect picture. When Abraham's servant found Rebekah at the well, there were no games, no calculated absences, no need for her to make him miss her. The confirmation came through prayer. The pursuit was intentional, and the covenant was established without drama. This is God's pattern. When he's in it, the right man will move with clarity that comes from divine revelation, not from the fear of losing you. A secure, Christ-centered man demonstrates consistency that flows naturally, not as a reaction to your absence. His calls and texts come from genuine desire, not from panic over potentially losing you. He speaks in terms of when rather than with, showing his mind is already settled about your future together. Most importantly, he lives with a covenant mentality, already walking in husband-level commitment in his character and spiritual leadership long before the wedding day. Remember Jacob serving 7 years for Rachel. Scripture tells us those years seem like only a few days because of his love for her. That's the difference between a man who's truly convinced and one who's constantly calculating. When a man knows you're the one, time becomes irrelevant and effort becomes joy. Start applying the peace test. Does being with him leave you anxious and uncertain, or grounded and secure? Examine the fruit of his life right now, not the potential you see in him. And if you must test, step back just once. A man who's yours will increase his pursuit, not withdraw. His actions will align with his words without needing constant reminders or threats of loss. A Song of Solomon shows a healthy pursuit. I am my beloved's and my beloved is mine. No games, no manipulation, just mutual recognition. Proverbs reminds us that he who finds a wife finds what is good and receives favor from the Lord. The right man won't just stumble upon you, he'll recognize the favor you carry. Destiny doesn't play hard to get. Divine connections don't require manipulation. A man who's truly yours will move with the confidence of heaven's confirmation. If he needs space to decide, he wasn't your assignment. If he only commits when you walk away, he wasn't your covering. Beloved, it's time to shift your entire perspective. Stop trying to convince the unconvinced and start recognizing the man God has already convinced. Stop auditioning for roles that were yours by divine right. Your love story isn't some reality show where you have to compete for attention. It's a sacred narrative written in eternity. Today, make this holy declaration over your life. Refuse to shrink, manipulate, or disappear to be chosen. I will stand fully in my God-given worth and trust the right man to recognize what heaven has already revealed. Your boss isn't out there wondering, he's preparing. And when your paths cross, there will be no need for games, only gratitude for the answered prayer standing before him.